Welcome to the faculty podcast of the Department of Astrological Studies. I am Dr. Helios Voss. Today, we conduct an advanced deep dive into Capricorn, not the motivational poster version, but the sign as a structural principle of time, power, and embodiment. With me are Professor Luna Astara, Dr. Orion Quill, Dr. Celeste Ria, and Professor Kepler Sol. Luna, open us with the classical architecture.
Capricorn is the purest expression of Saturn's dry, cold, melancholic temperament in the tropical zodiac. It is a cardinal earth sign, nocturnal by sect, yet ruled by a diurnal planet. This internal tension is foundational. The goatfish of Babylonian and Hellenistic iconography is not decorative. The fish tail belongs to the deep, the unconscious, the oceanic. The goat climbs the mountain of form. Capricorn therefore encodes the problem of taking what is formless and giving it enduring structure. In essential dignity, Saturn is at home here. Mars is exalted, which is why Capricorn can wage long wars of attrition rather than spectacular battles. The sign's efficiency is temporal. It understands that power is the ability to outlast.
That classical reading is precise, but we must immediately complicate it. Capricorn has become the preferred symbolic language of late capitalism's self-optimization culture. The mountain is no longer primarily a spiritual ascent. It is the career ladder, the quantifiable metric, the LinkedIn milestone. Postmodern astrology has to ask, when we celebrate Capricorn's discipline, whose discipline are we celebrating? The sign's traditional virtues, patience, realism, strategic restraint, are easily co-opted into the demand that the individual become a perfectly efficient economic unit. The sea goat's fish half, the part that remembers the depths, is systematically repressed in popular Capricorn discourse. That repression is itself a Capricornian operation.
I want to hold both the structural and the psychological. In evolutionary terms, Capricorn often correlates with souls who incarnate to master the relationship between personal will and collective time. The wound is frequently an early experience of conditional love, affection granted only upon performance. The compensatory strategy is the construction of an impregnable persona of competence, yet the body keeps the score. Capricorn rules the skeletal system, the skin, the knees, the very structures that allow us to stand upright against gravity. When Capricorn energy is unconscious, we see chronic tension in these areas as if the person is perpetually bracing against collapse. The evolutionary task is not to abandon the mountain, but to climb it without forgetting that the mountain itself is temporary.
From a technical standpoint, Capricorn periods in timing techniques are distinctive. In annual perfections, a Capricorn year activates the topics of the house Capricorn occupies and brings Saturn as Time Lord. Empirically, these years frequently coincide with increased responsibility, institutional encounters, or the necessity of long-term strategic decisions. In zodiacal releasing from spirit, Capricorn periods often mark phases of career consolidation or public visibility, but they can also deliver the fall from the mountain if the native has built on unstable foundations. What is statistically interesting is that Capricorn activated periods show higher rates of both major achievements and major structural losses, resignations, divorces after long marriages, health diagnoses that force a reordering of life. The sign does not guarantee success. It guarantees that the structure will be tested.
That testing is Saturn's proper function. In medical astrology, Capricorn and Saturn correspond to processes of hardening, crystallization, and restriction. Gallstones, arterial plaque, osteoarthritis, depression of the melancholic type. These are Capricornian manifestations when the formative principle becomes excessive. Yet the same principle, rightly used, produces the discipline that allows a body to endure decades of focused work. The ancient physicians understood that Saturn could be both the disease and the cure. The modern error is to pathologize Capricorn's seriousness while simultaneously demanding Capricornian output from everyone.
Exactly. We live under a cultural Capricorn that refuses to acknowledge itself. Governments, corporations, universities all operate according to Capricorn logic. Hierarchy, long-term planning, the accumulation of institutional memory, the management of scarcity. When astrology reduces Capricorn to a personality type that likes rules and climbs mountains, it participates in the very naturalization of power that critical theory has spent decades dismantling. A rigorous Capricorn study must therefore include the mundane dimension. Capricorn on the angles of a national chart, or Saturn in Capricorn transiting a nation's midheaven, has historically correlated with periods of austerity, institutional reform, or the reassertion of hierarchical control. The personal is never only personal.
And yet the personal remains the site where the archetype is lived. I have worked with Capricorn dominant clients who experience profound liberation when they finally allow the fishtail to speak, when they admit exhaustion, desire, grief, or the simple wish to stop performing competence. The breakthrough is rarely the abandonment of ambition. It is the discovery that true authority does not require the constant performance of invulnerability. Capricorn's genius is the capacity to build containers that last. Its shadow is the belief that the container is more real than the life it was built to hold.
Let us push further into originality. If Capricorn is the architect of time, what is its relationship to the other temporal signs? Cancer, the origin of the diurnal cycle, and Libra and Aries as the equinoctial axes. Luna,
Cancer and Capricorn form the solstitial axis, the longest and shortest days. Cancer initiates the descent into the underworld of the year in the northern hemisphere. Capricorn initiates the slow return of light. This is why the two signs are bound in a polarity of care and structure, of the private and the public, of the lunar and the Saturnine. A Capricorn who cannot integrate Cancer becomes pure hierarchy without nourishment. A Cancer who cannot integrate Capricorn remains trapped in emotional immediacy without the capacity to build enduring forms. The axis is the problem of how a civilization or a psyche both protects the vulnerable and constructs the institutions that outlive any single generation.
Technically, this polarity appears clearly in derived house systems. When Capricorn is on the midheaven, Cancer is on the IC. The public achievement is always rooted in the private foundation. When that foundation is unexamined, family patterns of emotional scarcity, for example, the Capricorn midheaven often produces spectacular outer success that feels internally hollow. Timing techniques that activate the 10th house will simultaneously activate the 4th by opposition. The data supports this. Career peaks in Capricorn periods frequently coincide with intensified family or home issues requiring resolution.
Which returns us to the political. Capricorn's claim to realism is itself an ideology. What counts as realistic is determined by the existing distribution of power. A Capricorn analysis that never questions the mountain's ownership is incomplete. The most rigorous Capricorn work today may be the construction of alternative institutions, ones that retain the sign's gift for durability while rejecting its historical alliance with domination.
I will close with a practical synthesis for the advanced student. When you meet Capricorn in a chart, whether as sun, moon, rising, or a heavy stellium, do not begin with the personality cliches. Begin with the question, what structure is this person attempting to build, and at what cost to the living process it was meant to serve? Examine the condition of Saturn, examine the house Capricorn rules and the planets within it. Then look at the solstitial polarity. Only after that structural reading should you move into psychological or evolutionary interpretation. Technique first, then meaning. That is Capricorn's own demand.
elegantly put. Capricorn, then, is not merely a sign of ambition. It is the principle by which time becomes form, by which the formless is made to endure, and by which every enduring form eventually reveals its own limits. Our task as practitioners is to honor the principle without becoming its prisoners. Thank you to my colleagues. This has been the Faculty Podcast. We will return with further deep dives into the signs as structural principles rather than personality types.